Not Old Better Show, the show covering all things health, wellness, culture, and more. The show for all of us who aren't old, we're better. Each week, we'll interview superstars, experts, and ordinary people doing extraordinary things, all related to this wonderful experience of getting better, not older. Now, here's your host, the award-winning Paul Vogelzang.
Welcome to the Not Old Better Show on radio and podcast. I'm Paul Vogelzang, and today's show is brought to you by WildHealth and TalkSpace. Hello, my Not Old Better Show family, especially during these holidays. I'm delighted to introduce you today to a truly special episode. Joining us is the visionary Charles Ochello, and together we are embarking on a journey of inspiration and innovation that's all about living life to the fullest, regardless of age, with your family, with your extended family, and keeping our families together with innovation and design. In this episode, we explore how technology, AI, and a deep commitment to creating exceptional living experiences are reshaping our golden years in an industry that hasn't to date truly embraced unique design and innovation, let alone artificial intelligence, to give us the more up-to-date options and quality. We all think about construction as an industry that is long on history, yet short on novel use of technology. Charles Ochello and his team will turn this notion on its head. In other words, make it the opposite of what it once was. We'll also uncover heartwarming stories of preserving our heritage and enriching communities, especially for those who cherish tradition and heritage. And of course, we dive into the exciting world of artificial intelligence in custom home building and its impact on our future. Plus, we'll discuss the importance of accessibility, adaptability, and seamlessly integrating technology into your daily life. So stay with us, because this episode is your ticket to living the Not Old Better way, guided by the wisdom of our guest, Charles Ochello. Let's get started, so please join me in welcoming to the Not Old Better Show on radio and podcast, Charles Ochello. Charles Ochello, it's so great to talk to you again. I've been thinking a little bit since we first met about this, what I'm going to call this intersection of home building and medicine. I've never asked this question before, and I say that right at the top of our conversation together, because I'm not sure that this combination of medicine and home building actually exists. And I'll tell you where I'm coming from a little bit on this, so that you can kind of think through and answer in a response. My own father was a physician, an internist, but a general contractor, built homes, built commercial buildings. You, by education, are a physician. By training, you are a general contractor. You build homes. And I just think that the fraternity of those two is a small one. I could be very wrong, but irrespective of that part of this subject, I think that you are at this interesting intersection, and I wonder, between these seemingly different worlds of medicine and home building, you're creating something really interesting and remarkable. And I wonder if you just share with our audience perhaps what you think this unique blend gives you in terms of, caregiving and home building, especially to enhance the lives of those of us who are getting a little bit older.
Thanks, Paul, for having me on the show. It is certainly a very small fraternity, the MD/GC fraternity.
Yes, that's a way to look at it.
A little bit about my background. My dad sort of wrangled me in when I was in middle school and said, "Listen, we're building our house." And I absolutely fell in love with home building at that time. I fell in love with the creativity. I fell in love with the progress of things, really being able to see, a piece of land being transformed in front of our eyes. And, of course, all of the work that went into it and the collaboration that went into it. And I was really hooked. Fast forward and certainly, in the same regard, I've always loved people. I've loved interacting with people. I've loved really trying to understand people kind of on a deeper level, what drives them, what kind of, really excites them. And what's really interesting about, my career is I spent a little over a decade, learning and training in emergency medicine, and obviously my practice after that. And you really, I got to really experience on an extremely intimate level how people live their lives. What their greatest fears are, what they love, really kind of that really unique perspective, and seeing tens of thousands of patients over my career. And all along the way I was developing custom homes and taking on these incredible projects and working with these clients, and increasingly just found that intersectionality of really medicine meets home building.
Yeah.
But the center is people, and that's one thing that I just continue to come back to and love about it.
That's great. Well, let's talk about the people for just a minute then, because while housing, medicine is so important to our society, housing is changing an awful lot. I suppose medicine is too, but again, I want to talk to you about the housing side of all of this, and particularly for those of us over age 60 who are thinking about kind of our next step. Tell us about your vision for those who are considering home and what it means, 2 or 3 families kind of coming together, especially around these holidays, retirement, all of that stuff sweeps into home building changing, and especially for those of us over 60.
Yeah, great question, Paul. And, certainly our clients in this Park City market are, folks that are certainly in your demographic, high net worth folks that, these homes that we're building out here, they're very specialized. And, I think that what's really unique about our design and build firm is that, we are really involved from the very beginning with the architect, with the interior designers, obviously with the clients and other stakeholders, and thinking and really, encouraging our clients to kind of not just think 5 years out, but really, when you're in your late 50s and 60s and into your 70s, you really want to project out what your home, how it's going to serve you, how that floor plan is going to serve you, how those inclusions and all of those things are going to serve you, not just in your 60s, but on into your 70s and 80s and 90s. My father-in-law, he kind of has his descriptions for the decade. So your 70s is kind of your go-go, and he says your 80s is kind of your slow go, and your 90s is your no-go. And so, really thinking about the go-goes and thinking about, kind of what, how your home's going to serve you and how you're going to really age and live your best life, into those subsequent decades.
Yeah, I like that. I think I'm still at the go-go stage, and I'm
Oh, you're go-go for sure, man.
I'm a go-go for sure, absolutely. Well, as we're going, we think in terms of, I'm talking about our age group, we're thinking in terms of comfort. I think we're also thinking in terms of safety. What does that whole world of safety and home building bring about in your mind and your vision for Vitruvius?
Man, safety is super important. And, I think that the overall, technology as it relates to construction of these custom homes, has really come far over the past few decades. Obviously, when we're designing homes, especially in this incredible, place like Park City and these incredible view corridors and mountains and lakes, obviously we want to, build and incorporate this home design so beautifully into the landscape itself. But, at the same time, this can be a harsh environment, as different environments are certainly harsh. And so, really with that home construction technology, we talk about really trying to kind of reduce those negative externalities. And so, we think about things like, obviously, clean, pure air quality. We think about things like safety as it relates to certain materials that we use in our snowy climates, right? So we think about fall safety as it relates to snow melting in garage spaces and what types of surfaces that we use. And so, we're really meeting the client where they are, and we're really encouraging them to put themselves in their spaces while we're still designing those homes and talking about, flows of spaces and how they're really going to serve. We're also, I think, really trying to incorporate not just construction technology, but also, really tech-powered homes. And so we're looking at circadian lighting and zone lighting support, which is really next level, but really supports, again, as you age, really kind of being as, supporting that sort of homeostasis as much as possible.
What I think about safety too, especially in technology, as you just were referencing, I think about this idea of isolation. And so many of us during COVID were isolated. I think it was, a direct result of the pandemic, but I think it does reflect a harsher reality for so many of us in my age group who just aren't able to get out, who aren't able to communicate with one another. And certainly the new technology opens up the home to outside communication with our families, with caregivers, with the medical community. That's really kind of what you're talking about in using the technology, right?
Yeah, it really has opened that up, as you mentioned, and certainly for our clients, I think that it's opened it up more, and it's allowing them and empowering them to stay connected to their micro and macro communities, and also at the same time allowing them to maybe they spend part of the year here in Park City and they work out of their office, and they, even though they're retired, they still serve a board position or a volunteer position. And so they still really have that high level of, professional engagement or personal engagement. Maybe it's with, extended family and those types of things. And so we're really looking at how the design of those homes does support, both engagement within the home itself, but also empowering that engagement outside the home.
Hi, it's Paul. We'll be right back with Vitruvius Design founder and CEO Charles Ochello. So stay tuned for more on AI, home innovation, and family. I mentioned that today's show is brought to you by TalkSpace. During this holiday season, I have discovered that TalkSpace is a game-changing solution for mental wellness. TalkSpace, it offers therapy and psychiatry services right from your phone at any time and anywhere. The holidays can be, well, a lot. They used to leave me drained. Even just addressing a big mass of holiday cards to friends, something that should make me feel really great, but it became a grind, challenging, and it was just draining. But not this year. This year I'm enjoying the holidays thanks to the gift of therapy from TalkSpace. Say goodbye to being overwhelmed by holiday stress. The best part? Most insurance plans cover TalkSpace, making mental health care not only easy but also affordable, especially this time of year when it is expensive everywhere you look. So forget the hassle of scheduling in-person therapy appointments during the busy holiday season. TalkSpace brings professional mental health support directly to your device, seamlessly integrating it right into your life. You can now have therapy on your own terms with coverage from most insurance providers and employers, often at just the cost of a copay. So if you're feeling a little blue, a little lacking in holiday cheer, TalkSpace is here to help. The combination of shorter days and family tensions can weigh heavily on your mental well-being. They do mine. However, with TalkSpace, you have immediate and convenient access to therapists who can guide you through these challenging times. No more waiting or traveling, just the support you need at your fingertips. Sign up online quickly and be matched with a therapist within 48 hours. Maintain continuous communication with your therapist. Choose from over 150 specialties, including anxiety, depression, and much, much more. So, dear listeners, take control of your mental health this holiday season. Get $80 off your first month with TalkSpace by visiting TalkSpace.com/NOB. Prioritize your well-being and support our show at TalkSpace.com/NOB. I want to introduce our new sponsor, WildHealth, who offers personalized healthcare through a proactive and preventative approach called precision medicine. By analyzing your genetics, biometrics, and lifestyle data, WildHealth provides tailored recommendations for nutrition, exercise, sleep, supplements, and much, much more. They have helped 67% of patients with high cardiovascular disease risk improve their condition, and 89% of patients have seen improvement in areas such as brain fog, gut health, and diabetes indicators. Renowned expert Ben Greenfield has praised WildHealth, and their health reports provide valuable insights. Whether you have specific health goals or you want to optimize your overall well-being, WildHealth creates a care plan just for you, prioritizing lifestyle and interventions over medication. They offer continuous guidance through a care team consisting of a precision medicine physician and a health coach, accessible through their app. WildHealth is fully virtual and available throughout the United States, making it convenient for you to prioritize your health from home. I used the health coach just recently, and it was a fantastic experience. I spoke to Sean. We had a great conversation about some of my priorities, some of my needs nutritionally, what I really want to get out of my exercise routine. It was really great, effective, and I am just well on my way. So, as a special offer, WildHealth is generously extending Not Old Better Show listeners 20% off the cost of membership with code NOB. Head over to wildhealth.com/NOB and use code NOB at checkout. Make this commitment to yourself and start taking control of your health today at wildhealth.com/NOB. Thanks, everybody. And now back to our interview with Vitruvius Design and Build CEO, founder Charles Ochello. Enjoy this. Stay tuned. Charles Ochello is our guest today. Charles is the founder, CEO of Vitruvius Design Build, based in Park City, Utah. The other thing that I've learned about you, Charles, in addition to this distinction that you have in the home building community as a physician, your education in that way, you're also really at the forefront of using, of all things, artificial intelligence. That's probably something very new. Puts you in a unique fraternity too amongst home builders. I can't imagine that there's a whole lot of that going on. However, you're using it in some very unique ways. Maybe talk a little bit about AI and what that represents to your industry and then to your own business, Vitruvius.
Man, great question, Paul, and thanks for bringing that up. Our mission here at Vitruvius is really simple. It's actualizing evolved excellence through a curated design build experience. And what's really an incredible opportunity for us that we're seizing, and we're really leading, throughout the custom residential industry itself, is, we've really kind of taken on what is a extremely technophobic industry, mm-hmm. and we're looking at how we can empower these incredible craftsmen that we partner with, subcontractors, trade partners, that, all of the specialties that go into building these incredible luxury custom homes that we do out here in Park City. But how can we, use technology that is certainly available and put a package together that really empowers those subcontractors, empowers this overall sort of project itself. I mean, these are extremely complex projects that involve a number of stakeholders and a litany of folks that are involved during this process, which are sometimes 2 and 3 year design build process. And so, we're really, taking a sort of first principles look and saying, not why, but why not? And I think that that's something that we're just really kind of injecting a fresh perspective into this industry as we build out our, project management software suite.
Maybe give us a couple of examples. AI, I think for all of its good, sometimes it gets a bad rap. How are you using AI to aid in transparency and communication so that some of the 60 plus age community, some of your customers are getting a better experience in this way?
Paul, I think AI is certainly thrown around a lot right now.
Yeah.
And I sort of think about AI as sort of a collection of the knowledge base that's out there, right? It really is sort of a collection, a mass collection of human knowledge up until this point. And so, I think that we're really examining and really just scratching the surface and understanding what role AI is going to serve and how it's going to help empower this design build process and how it's really going to, facilitate and augment that client user experience. That the design and build process really is a journey. And I think along that journey, there's nothing transactional about this, our curated design build experience and process itself. It's at times emotionally taxing. It's at times extremely, elating. And so, I think for us, one of the ways that we're really using AI is trying to use it to gain a better understanding of the emotional intelligence and the emotional changes that happen during this process.
Would you use AI, for example, in bringing in different architectural ideas and then kind of modifying those during the course of construction? Is that kind of the general idea of how AI might supplement the process?
I think that what we're seeing right now as it relates to the design portion and how AI is being incorporated is, certainly we're using it as it relates to seeing if the architect's overall, architectural plans fit within the scopes of certain rules and regulations. And so, as it relates to certain communities and certain municipalities, there are, a host of building codes and requirements in neighborhoods. And so we're really using that to empower our architect partners and making it a more streamlined process. Obviously, they want to create. Architects are very artistic. They're incredible at what they do, especially, the folks that we partner with in these, luxury communities. And so we want to have them drawing and creating. And so we're really using AI to help sort of streamline the regulatory requirements as it relates to, making their jobs easier. Now, interior design is really fun because what we're doing with our interior design division is we're actually using some AI-assisted design, and this is extremely cutting edge. But what we're doing is we're using AI rendering software in order to start to develop some palettes and some initial sort of feels of what a home might look like as they're starting that process and really kind of showcasing to the client what their custom home will look like. And again, this is all even before we're finalizing architectural plans. It's super cool.
It is. It's fascinating stuff. Let me switch gears and ask you a question that I dug up about you in my research that I know our audience will be interested in. You have a wonderful history in restoration of historic houses. You did that work while in New Orleans. Our audience loves history and loves the idea of renovation. Are you doing some of that to complement kind of your work in home building? Are you looking into communities to restore projects in addition to kind of building new projects?
Wow. And that's really where I started my career, Paul, is, working in and around New Orleans and some incredible parts of the city. And I'm sure you've been to New Orleans, and certainly your listeners have been, but, experiencing the French Quarter of New Orleans and the Garden District, and just an incredible city. And that's really, was kind of, it informed, I think, so much, because, when you study the past, I think it always informs a better future. And really my experience, renovating historic buildings, albeit extremely difficult. I mean, construction methods are different, and the way that those re-renovations happen in the 50s and 60s. And so, we always say, and we don't really take on any renovations here in Park City, just focusing on new builds, but it certainly, made me understand, I think, the history behind home building. And really, I think more than that, Paul, really how the, historic buildings inform the design and build of our luxury custom homes, because it really, it gives you a peek into not only how families lived, but how communities lived. Mm-hmm. And I think that the more I see sort of, my spin around, this planet is a lot of times we're going back to the way that things used to be, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the French Quarter was built, 300 or so years ago, and you have your bakery you walk to and your coffee shop, and, and really, as opposed to maybe a lot of the ways that we've developed, more suburban areas in the United States, it really does provide that, like, you referenced earlier, that connection. And I think that connection, there's something so humanistic and so very basal in our need to connect with people. Mm-hmm. And I think that, those emotional connections can be certainly facilitated and augmented as we look at how we design communities, as we look at how we design individual homes. And I certainly think that we need to study the past to inform the best future for us.
I love that. Thank you. Wonderful answer. Let's get back to Vitruvius Design. I've just got a couple more questions for you. I know you're very busy, and we sure appreciate your time. How does our audience kind of begin the process with you? Do you help us find a piece of property? Do you let us just find that lot and then come to you for the rest of the work? Where in the kind of the mix does our audience begin to kind of surface and work with you and your team?
Yeah, great question. And I think that this is certainly can be a murky and opaque process. And I think for some of your listeners, they've either loved their builder or they've really struggled, and they're like, we're never doing that again. And so, again, I think every part of how we have built out our client user experience is so focused on providing that curated design build experience. For our clients, we really, we say you're going to get an incredible luxury custom home. But with Vitruvius Design and Build, we're focused on providing that curated design and build experience. And again, really for every one of our clients, it's different. I think to kind of circle back to your question is, it starts with the plot of land. And I think, that plot of land with us is Park City. And so, it's clients that, and the typical sort of engagement with Park City is most of our clients visit here and it's a ski vacation. And then, they come back and say, oh, well, summer times are really nice too. And I love mountain biking and hiking. And then it's, it's sort of a slippery slope to falling in love with this place. And I did it myself and my family. And so, but it really does, start with I think, again, going back to what we talked about earlier, which is, what does your life look like into, your 60s and 70s and 80s? And I think, Park City checks a lot of those boxes with our, amazing, airport that has increasing service and is just super well run. I think each community here really provides different amenities that cater to different folks. I think some of them are more golf course community focused. I think some of them are a lot more experiential focused. I think some of them are very remote and give people that feel that, they're away and, they're sitting on 10 acres or 50 acres and they have a farm. And so it's really a unique place because I think it lends itself to allowing people to kind of find exactly what they're looking for. And so, we're happy to work with folks really that just have interest in Park City. We love this process. And I think for me, it's that curation of the experience. And when you look at curating a home and a home design, you have to examine all aspects of it and you have to pull in the best stakeholders to really serve that client and meet them where they are. So.
Final question for you, Charles Ochello. Thank you again so much for your time. We're at the end of 2023. How does 2024 look in terms of home building innovation? We've talked about technology generally. We've talked about AI. Where do you see this all going, and kind of what will 2024 bring that's unique to itself and kind of put 2023 in the rearview mirror?
I would say in general, nothing changes quickly in housing. I think that, on everyone's minds are obviously just, interest rates and kind of how they've risen and how that's affected, I think, the overall housing market, and listening to the Fed, it sounds like interest rates will start to come down. I think that, what we'll see in the residential industry is we'll start to see new starts increase. I think that'll ease supply housing some across the country. I think as it relates to our luxury market, we've never been busier. And I think that will just continue to increase. Obviously, Park City regionally, we're going to be hosting the 2034 Olympics, and Deer Valley's just expanded, and so we've seen, more interest than ever in this area, and so. But I think overall, 2024 is going to be kind of the beginning of the recovery, I think, as it relates to supply. And I think we'll start to see some easing with pricing across the country. I think overall, that'll be a really good thing for your audience.
Yeah. I think another good thing for our audience will just be to stay in touch with you. It's always such a pleasure to speak with you, Charles. We get to talk about technology. We get to talk about home building. We talk a little bit about healthcare, a little bit of finance. Really, you just have this breadth of experience and knowledge that makes you so unique. And I'm especially interested in staying in touch. I know our audience will be. Happy holidays to you and yours. Thanks so much for your time today. What a pleasure it is to get this perspective you have on home building and all the innovation that goes along with it. Very unique in the industry. So thank you, and come back and talk to us again.
Yeah, would love to, Paul. Thanks again.
My thanks to TalkSpace and WildHealth for sponsoring today's show. Please support our sponsors as they, in turn, support the show. My thanks to our guest today, Charles Ochello, founder and CEO of Vitruvius Design and Build in Park City, Utah. My thanks to you, my wonderful Not Old Better Show audience here on radio and podcast. Be well, be safe, and let's talk about better. The Not Old Better Show. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next week.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Not Old Better Show. To find out more about all of today's stories or to view our extensive back catalog of previous shows, simply visit notold-better.com. Join us again next time as we deep dive into some of the most fascinating real-life stories from across the world, all focused on this wonderful experience of getting better, not just older. Let's talk about better. The Not Old Better Show.
Hi, one final thing. Today's show was edited for length. To hear the full interview, please check out our website for this episode and all episodes at notold-better.com, or subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, and be sure to check out your local radio stations to find out more about the Not Old Better Show on podcast and radio. You can find us all over social media. Our Twitter feed is Not Old Better, and we're on Instagram at Not Old Better too. The Not Old Better Show is a production of NOBS Studios. I'm Paul Vogelzang, and I hope you'll join me again next time to talk about better. The Not Old Better Show. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.